Good afternoon, Fantasy Bay. This is Mike Williams here, your host, and we'll be going over a Week 1 preview of the Bengals versus Seattle Seahawks. So let's get started. All right, so we're going to start with date and time. It's going to be 4:25 on Sunday, the 8th. So the line opened and is still 43.5. That's a pretty okay over-under. I don't expect a whole bunch of points scored, but it should be okay. Spread opened at -9 for Seattle, and it's -9.5. So basically they're thinking Cincinnati's going to get throttled, which I agree. So I have a couple fun facts. Cincinnati allowed the most passing yards per game last year, which that's bad. That essentially is saying fire up your Seattle Seahawks. So we also have, in addition to the Seattle Seahawks, we have Jadeveon Clowney, which is a great addition. Andy Dalton's in trouble. That front seven is about to do some work. All right, so let's get down to quarterbacks. So let's start with Russell Wilson. A mobile quarterback that doesn't always have to use his legs. In the last year or two, he has not been running as much as he normally does, but he still has been highly successful in this heavy run offense. And Tyler Lockett, he's been perfect in his connection with him, throwing it down the field. It's been extremely incredible, but I honestly don't know if that can hold up. But even if it doesn't and they drop it down by 15%, I still think Tyler Lockett's going to be really good, and I also think that Russell Wilson is going to be a nice fantasy player this year. That being said, he notoriously starts slow. I'm not quite sure exactly what it is, but he always starts slow in the first half of the year, and then and people drop him. Then in the second half, it's like, oh my God, Russell Wilson's on the waiver wire, and he just dropped 35 points. Maybe he's a person that you want to try to trade for halfway through the year if you don't have him. I know he was going super late in drafts. People were getting him in like the 13th round sometimes. But I like Russell Wilson this year. I just don't know if his start's going to be great. That being said, the Bengals are terrible, so they're helping him out a little bit. All right, so we're going to go to wide receivers. We got DK Metcalf. I like DK Metcalf long term, but I don't know about the first game of the season. I don't think you really need to play him. And where you drafted him, if you did draft him, you don't need to play him this week. It's more of a wait and see how he's integrated in the offense. He's huge. He's strong. We all know that. He's great at running in a straight line, Mazel tov, but football is more than just running in a straight line. So let's see what he can do. I believe in him over time. I think he'll be good, but as of right now, got to prove it first. Rook. So we got Tyler Lockett. Fire him up. He is going to destroy that Cincinnati secondary. He's fast as hell, and he takes the top off the defense, and he does a great job at it, so he should be fine. Running backs. So the Bengals are 26th in defending the running back. Fire up your Chris Carson, and Rashad Penny is a not bad flex play. If you need a running back, something happened, or you had, I don't know, anybody that is not currently going to be running for your roster, I think Rashad Penny could be a good flex play. I don't think he's going to be crazy amazing, but I think that he'd be serviceable. I believe that the I believe that the spread is going to be 9 points, I believe it was. Yeah, with a 9-point spread, that means Seattle should be up. And if Seattle's up, then they're going to be running the ball more to run the clock out. And it can't be all Chris Carson. It'll be a lot of Chris Carson, but it won't be all Chris Carson. Don't forget, they did draft Rashad Penny pretty early, so they will want to still get him involved. They'll keep Chris Carson in front because he's better as of right now, but Rashad Penny will stay involved. So watch out for that. And if you need a flex play, I think he's serviceable. So we have tight end Will Disley. I won't be starting Will Disley, but I do like Will Disley. I have no hate against him. He's going against the Bengals. They're 28th against tight end. I have no problem with him. I like him. All right, so now down to the Cincinnati Bengals. We'll start with Andy Dalton, and none of you are starting Andy Dalton. You've been burned in the last couple years, and if you haven't been burned, let me inform you from someone that has been burned. Do not start Andy Dalton if you don't have to. Even though the Seattle Seahawks weren't the best at rushing the quarterback last year, they just got Jadeveon Clowney, and I'm looking for him to just eat. So we have the wide receivers. AJ Green is currently injured, and I'm hoping if your league had an IR spot that you picked him up in like the 7th round. 7th round for AJ Green is a steal. You having AJ Green come back in like 3 or 4 weeks, trust me, I stashed him. He's going to be a very important piece to my championship roster. John Ross, get out of here with that. I'm not touching that. Tyler Boyd. I do like some Tyler Boyd, especially with AJ Green out. That being said, even when AJ Green was in, Tyler Boyd actually played better. That doesn't matter to me. AJ Green's out. Fire up your Tyler Boyd. I believe that Tyler Boyd will be taking the top off. He's a nice big receiver. He's going to make some catches. I like him this week and for the rest of the season, actually. I think that he was underdrafted, and I think you got a value because he's going to kill it. Running backs. So we have Joe Mixon and Giovanni Bernard. I have 0 shares of Joe Mixon. Not because I don't like him as a player, not because I don't like him as a person, but he was going way too high in drafts. They were trying to draft him in like the beginning of the 2nd round. I'm sorry. I don't believe that the Bengals offense is good enough to warrant anybody to be that close. Notoriously, bottom 5, bottom 10 offenses don't produce top 10 running backs. That's just how that works. And with him being on a terrible team with a broken down offensive line and an injured wide receiving core, I don't expect them to be great. So I was looking at other people like, I don't know, anybody else. I was taking Todd Gurley over him, James Conner over him, Dalvin Cook. I wouldn't have taken Mixon to the 2nd round, but that's just late 2nd round, but that's just me. He was going early 2nd, and there's no way. So I also watch out for Giovanni Bernard. He just got paid, and the coach is talking about giving him some touches and seeing where he's at. I don't sleep on Giovanni Bernard. He is not back. He is not just a backup. He can play football. And then I'm not touching the tight ends, but keep an eye out for Tyler Eifert. I know. He's injured all the time. You can't trust him. But you know what? He's free. You can literally just pick him up and play him in 50 to 60 to 70% of your leagues. He is just going to be out there. But when he is healthy, he is a touchdown threat. And they do not have many of those anymore. And Andy Dalton is going to try to get the ball out because he's going to be rushed by Jadeveon Clowney left and right. I expect him to move Jadeveon Clowney around the field, and I expect Andy Dalton to just be scared and panicked. And when a quarterback is scared and panicked, they're dumping it off. And normally it's either going to be to the tight end or the running back. So Tyler Eifert, watch out for him this week. He's on my watch list. And I think that's going to be it to go over the Seattle Seahawks and Cincinnati Bengals matchup. I'll see you later, Fantasy Bay.